You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.
Welcome to the Hot Options Report, your premier source for insight into the fast-moving options market. Each day, we'll track down the products that are dominating the options chains and impacting your trading account, from Nvidia to VIX and everything in between. If it's lighting up the options tape, then you'll find it on the Hot Options Report.
All right, everybody, welcome to your Hot Options Report for Tuesday, January 27th. My name is Mark Longo from the Options Insider Radio Network, the place where you're checking out all of your favorite options podcasts. And of course, if you want to go pro, check out theoptionsinsider.com/pro. While you're checking things out online, make sure you're checking out our friends at thehotoptionsreport.com, the place to go to kick the tires and light the fires on all this options data and a whole bunch more. We don't have time to fit into the show. It's only about 10 minutes, after all, at the end of the day. All right, let's get down to business. Was it a hot day in the options market today? The answer was, it was decent. 403,000 contracts. Not lighting the world on fire, but not nothing either. Not lighting the world on fire, but not nothing either. That gets us to Micron. Micron has certainly been lighting the world on fire of late. Closing today, $410.24, up $21.15, or another about 5.5% today. Putting up 403,000 contracts for the number 10 spot, the hot option in Micron today, listeners. It's the 420s going up 16,000 times for an average price of $9.08. So that might seem wild. The stock got as high as $416.45. These have a few days left to go this week, so we'll keep an eye on these, but nearly $10 for these. If you're buying these, you really need Micron to keep running, listeners, as we keep running to the number 9 spot, listeners. Our old pals across the street, it's Boeing. Boeing closing today, $244.56, off $3.87, or about 1.5%, putting up 275,000 contracts for the number 9 spot out there today. The hot option in Boeing, 24,000 of the 250s, the two halves. Average price for these, $2.29. And Boeing did get there intraday. 254.35 was the high. So these were looking good earlier in the session if you bought them. If you rode them through the close, not quite as good. But we'll keep an eye on these, listeners, as we keep climbing to the number 8 spot, listeners. This is Netflix. Netflix selling off 12 cents today to close 85.58. Putting up 416,000 contracts. For the number 8 spot today, the hot option in Netflix, 28, nearly 29,000 of the 85s. Average price for these, 90 cents. Obviously, these went out nearly 60 cents in the money, so not a bad scoop if you bought them. We'll keep an eye on these as we keep climbing to the number 7 spot. Yeah, it's CoreWeave making a repeat appearance from yesterday and also making a repeat rally, up $10.55, or nearly 11% to close 108.86, putting up 424,000 contracts for the number 7 spot out there today. The hot option in another hot day in CoreWeave, 33,000 of the 150s, the 1/2s. Now, not expiring this week because that would be crazy. These are expiring in March, so you're getting some time for that. Average price for these, $3.76. What do you think, listeners? 150 by March expiration? Can we get there, or is that too much of a hill to climb? Hit us up, let us know as we keep climbing to see what the number 6 spot is on our top 10 countdown today. We're going back to my old stomping grounds, going back to Intel. Intel rallying today after a rough week and change out there. Intel closing 43.93, up about $1.44, about 3.4%. Putting up 655,000 contracts for the number 6 spot out there in our countdown today. The hot option in Intel, 33,000 of the 44s expiring this week. Average price $1.02, got as high as $44.53 earlier in the session. So maybe that colors your outlook on these 44s. This was opening flow, so we'll keep an eye on these. Can Intel get back there by the end of the week? We shall see. You certainly hope so if you're buying those bad boys as we keep climbing to the number 5 spot. It's Amazon. Amazon was climbing today, up $6.26 or about 2.6% to close at $244.68, putting up 739,000 contracts. For the number 5 spot out there today, the hot option in Amazon, 69,000 of the 245s. Average price for these, $2.48. So slightly out of the money calls. Looks like they might have been hitting the bid on these. This was opening flow, so maybe a bit of a pretty much at the money call overwrite throughout the rest of the week. You like it better that way, or would you be a buyer at about $2.50? Hit us up, let us know, listeners, as we keep climbing to number 4. Yes, I said number 4. It's Tesla. How did Tesla get kicked all the way to number 4? I guess we'll find out. Tesla today selling off $4.29, closing $430.91, so off almost exactly 1% today, putting up 749,000 contracts. So that's one way they got kicked to the curb. That's very light volume. It's roughly half of what we've come to expect from Tesla these days, if not less. So a light day for Tesla out there. The hot option on a pretty light day in Tesla, only 30,000. That is very light for Tesla to take the top spot. 30,000 of the 440s. Average price for these, $10.14. These closed pretty far out of the money, so we'll keep an eye on these. Would you be willing to roll the bones on $10 for some 440s expiring at the end of the week? Or would you be a straight seller of those, listeners, as we keep climbing straight to number 3? Another name that's climbing again. After having a rough start to the year, Apple looking a little bit better this week. Climbing again today, $2.86, or a little over 1% to close at $258.27, listeners. Apple putting up 765,000 contracts for the number 3 spot out there today. And then the hot option in the fruit company, 38,000 of the 270 puts. Now that is interesting. We don't see a ton of puts taking the top spot in Apple these days. Average price for these, obviously going to be pretty rich because they're substantially in the money, $11.14. And right now, if you bought these, they're looking pretty good because they're substantially in the money. So obviously, intrinsic value alone is worth more than that right now. So kind of interesting. A meaty put. If you scoop these this morning, you probably have a bit of a smile on your face. If you sold these, you're sweating a bit, but we have the rest of the week to see how they play out. As we see how the number 2 spot on our list plays out today, we're going out to UNH. You know it must be earnings season when UNH is making an appearance in the top 10, let alone all the way up at number 2. And they did not like what they heard today. UNH selling off $68.90 or 19.6% to close at $282.70. So just a rough ride in the healthcare sector today. 949,000 contracts on the tape for good old UNH out there today. What was the hot option in UNH? Almost 41,000 of the 600s for $2.01. Now, before you say 600s expiring at the end of the week, no, these are expiring January of next year. So the upside, you get about a year for these to work out. On the downside, you need the stock to double in that time before these options are even remotely relevant, listeners. So that's quite a run. Can UNH pull that off in a year? Wild stuff. Either way, we'll keep an eye on these. This is an interesting one, listeners. Would you be scooping these for $2.01, or would you be hitting the bid? And if the stock gets called away at 2x the price it is right now a year from now, oh well, you're still a happy camper. Let's see if our number 1 spot is a happy camper today. You know it's Nvidia, closing $188.52, up $2.05, or a little over 1%, putting up 1.46 million contracts for the number 1 spot today. So again, a pretty light number for Nvidia to take the top spot out there today. The hot option on a light day in Nvidia, 121,000 of the 190s. Average price for these, $2.56. So 190s by the end of the week, listeners. Can we get back there? We kissed it. Actually, we got to 190 exactly in the middle of the session today. So these were looking a lot better around the middle of the day than they are now. We'll keep an eye on these, listeners, to see if they can pay off by the end of the week. That is going to do it for your hot options reports for today, Tuesday, January 27th. Hope you're having a good day out there. If you're hanging out in the pro, you want to check it out. The panel I just did at the 100th anniversary of the Stack Conference here in Chicago. We did a fun panel there, made a little fun secret recording for you folks over there on the pro. So our pro members are checking it out right now. It's a good time. If you want to check it out, join the party for yourselves. TheOptionsInsider.com/pro is the place to go to learn more. And of course, check out our friends over there at TheHotOptionsReport.com. The URL is literally the name of the show. You can't forget it, and you can't beat the data they got for you over there. TheHotOptionsReport.com. Back again tomorrow with all of our usual Wednesday fun, including Options Bootcamp and the Futures Rundown, until we're back again after the closing bell. Another episode of the Hot Options Report. Stay safe out there.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.